Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please join us in the invocation prayers of Srimadbhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiriyet Shavatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shama Kirtanaha Hridayantasto Bhadrani Vidhunoti Suhasatam Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagvat Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today we'll be covering Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, verse 1, where Shukdev Goswami is starting to describe the subject matters, the 10 subject matters of Srimad Bhagavatam. And this chapter is titled, Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. Hare Krishna. Please join us in the recitation of the verse. Shri Shuka Uvacha Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanam Utayaha Manvantare Shanu Katha Nirodho Muktir Ashrayaha. Word for word translation. Shri Shuka Uvacha, Shri Shukdev Goswami said, Atra, in this Srimad Bhagavatam, Sargaha, the statement of the creation of the universe, Visargaha, statement of subcreation, Cha, also, Sthanam, the planetary systems, Poshanam, protection, Utayaha, the creative impetus, Manvantara, changes of Manus, Isha Anukathaha, the signs of God, Nirodha, going back home, back to Godhead, Mukti, liberation, Ashaya, the Samam Bonam. Shri Shukdev Goswami said, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 10 divisions of statements regarding the following. Creation of the universe, subcreation, planetary systems, protection by the Lord, the creative impetus, the change of Manus, the signs of God, returning home, back to Godhead, liberation, and the Samam Bonam. Hare Krishna. There is no purport, so we'll be covering these aspects today during the session. So let me give you a little background. So Parikshit Maharaj, he is fasting on the bank of Ganges, which is Yamuna River in this case, because after Sangam at Prayag, even Yamuna is sometimes referred to as Ganges. And he is waiting, he's fasting until death, which is for 7 days. And that was because he got a curse from a Brahmana that he will die in 7 days by the bite of a snake. And on that particular occasion, he had left all his kingdom, everything, even attachment to food and drinking as well. So he was, like I'm talking of water, not the other drinking. And he was fully looking at how can he transcend this current state, go back home, back to Godhead. So many sages from all over the universe had gathered at this place, knowing that the Emperor of the world, Parikshit Maharaj, is fasting until death. And so at that time, when all these sages were gathered, Shukdev Goswami also appeared. And he looked just like a 19-year-old young boy, even though his age was much older, just like the 4 Kumaras. They appear like children, but then they are the, initial sons of Lord Brahma. So again, they are much older, but they appear like 5-year-olds. So similarly, Shukdev Goswami is also much older, but he appears just like 19-year-old. And of course, of all the personalities, Lord Krishna is the oldest, but he never ages beyond 16 years or so. Always youthful, nav yavanam cha. So, Shukdev Goswami becomes the speaker. Maharaj Parikshit is inquiring from him, and Shukdev Goswami is revealing in this conversation the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. And in this particular setting, there are various sages. One of them is Sutta Goswami, who actually goes to Naimisharanya later, and he is reciting the whole Bhagavatam as he heard from Shukdev Goswami to the sages at Naimisharanya, and their spokesperson is Shaunaka Rishi. So similarly, in Srimad Bhagavatam, we see conversation within conversations. Now, sometimes people do ask, like, what's the difference between Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita? In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is teaching us what to do. What is our state and what we should do. In Srimad Bhagavatam, with the glories and the stories of the devotees of the Lord and Lord himself, he's showing us how to do what has been identified in Bhagavad Gita. So now sometimes people, they are more interested in hearing about Lord, and then they hear about the devotees. Well, when we hear about the devotees and we glorify those devotees, understand the teachings that they have imparted upon us, that makes Lord smile. And when we are glorifying the Lord, then of course all devotees smile. So again, this is a win-win situation. So here, Shukdev Goswami, in the second canto is where his presence is identified. Srimad Bhagavatam started with Vyasdev feeling despondent, disappointed, and Devashinad coming and telling him that, yes, you wrote all these Puranas and the Vedas, but you have not really glorified the devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Vyasadeva is feeling that, and so he receives Srimad Bhagavatam from Devashi Narad, Sage Narad, which he passes on to his son, Shukadev Goswami. Shuka also means parrot. And then Shukadev Goswami recites it to Maharaj Parikshit, who, again, in this setting, further, Sutta Goswami is present, who is reciting Srimad Bhagavatam to the sages and Naimisharanya. And then we see various conversations like Matrimony is reciting it to Vidura, inquiring various questions that Vidura is having. So he is inquiring about those, like, how can this be so and so? And Matrimony is revealing that it's all Lord's mercy. And all these aspects are covered in the 10 subject matters. Now, 10 subject matters, there are a lot to capture, right? So how do we remember them? So we are going to remember them using a simple acronym. And hopefully you can remember this acronym. The acronym is Radhe Shyam. So here we are trying to understand the life without Bhagavatam. So what is life without Bhagavatam? It's like using Google Maps of ways with no signal, right? It's important to have signal. But when you don't have signal, you're using Google Maps of ways, there are lots of roads you can see in the map, but then there's no direction. How do you reach to the destination? So that's what Srimad Bhagavatam is providing us. So we today are taking the role as seekers of truth, right? And we are looking at today's presentation as exploration of the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam. Through how? Means again, a heartfelt and contemplative acronym, Radhe Shyam. R-A-D-H-E, Radhe Shyam, S-H-Y-A-M. So these subject matters, they form the structure and soul of Bhagavatam. And they give us both cosmic context as well as personal guidance. Now, before I start, I want you to do a basic meditative activity, right? Take a minute for a quiet reflection. Ask yourself, which part of my life feels like it needs divine direction right now? Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Creation, protection, release, or shelter. What am I seeking right now? So close your eyes and breathe in the question. Let it rest in your heart as we travel through the sacred knowledge of the Bhagavatam. So here, Radhe Shyam acronym for the 10 topics. You may be wondering, how are we going to cover them? Of course, Atra Sargo Visargash, Satra Visargasha. So again, Sarga means creation, which actually reveals reality. R is for reality. It helps us recognize the divine origin of life. Right? So in this material world, that how that origin began. And it is also because of the compassion of the Lord that he is engaged. Visarga is subcreation, which is for the expanding through articulation. So A is for articulation. We express Krishna's plan through duty. So again, that's our activity. Just like Brahma, he was part of that Visarga, and he performed his duties by carrying out the creation as per the direction. D is for, of course, the third subject matter is Thana, planetary systems that further expand within the secondary creation. So it refers to sthana, what is a position or domain. D is for domain, and it reflects that we need to have respect for our structured place in the cosmos. We have to bloom where we are planted. That's the essence of it. And Poshanam, fourth subject matter, is about protection by the Lord. So H is for harbor. So we talked about R for reality, A for articulation, D for domain, H for harbor. And this is where we see Krishna is protecting us constantly, even in hidden ways, even ways we don't realize. And E is the energy, which is referring to as the creative impetus, Utayaha. And this is to direct our ambitions towards the absolute. So the energy is to serve the energetic. And so we are marginal energies, so we have to seek that direction. And now comes the acronym SHAM. So Manvantare Ishanukatha. Manvantare is the sixth subject matter, which is the reigns of Manus. And S here refers to the sequence because the reigns of Manus go in a sequential manner. So we learn from the cycles of divine leadership, how Swayambhuva Manu came, how Chakshusha Manu came, and how Vavasvata Manu is the current Manu, in this creation. And H is for Ishanu Katha, which is science of God. How do we relate? H is for harmony. We have to build intimacy with the divine through stories. So Srimadbhagavatam is filled with stories. And sometimes people read Srimadbhagavatam just for the fun of reading these stories. Nothing wrong with that, because in subtle manner, it creates harmony with the Supreme Lord. So the science of God is revealed within one's heart. Now, what is the effect of this? The effect is, of course, the eighth subject matter, Nirodha, dissolution. Right? So now, when we are building harmony, we are starting to yield. So the Y is for yielding. We let go gracefully to grow spiritually. Right? And A, again, the ninth subject matter is mukti, liberation, transcending the three modes of material nature, which is assertion. A is for assertion. So we have to aim for true freedom, spiritual consciousness. And as Srila Prabhupada states it, Krishna consciousness. And M, of Sham, the last letter. So of course we know Samam Bonam, Ashraya, the supreme shelter is there. And so M here refers to the mercy of the Lord. So we have to make an endeavor, but we have to fully depend on Lord's mercy for Ashraya. So Krishna is the ultimate refuge of the soul. So those two aspects, those two finger short rope reminds us we have to make our endeavor by yielding an assertion, and then finally fully rely on Lord Krishna's mercy. So today is a pretty engaging session. Hopefully we can cover this in time. So Sarga is creation, which is reality, the compassionate origin. So where is the creation happening in material world? It actually is started by Lord Mahavishnu, who is Karno Daksha Vishnu. He is laying down the Karna ocean, and from the pores of his body as well as from his breathing, many universes are coming up. So we have to understand, when it is so systematically presented in Bhagavatam, we have to understand that the reality of this material universe, that all creation that begins not in chaos, but in a conscious compassion of the Supreme Father. There is no need for him to create, for anything that he desires. It is his compassion towards us is reflecting. So creation in the Bhagavatam isn't random. It is intentional. It is divine and filled with purpose. Now, sometimes people say material creation is divine because it is coming out of divine will, an expression of the Lord's mercy to allow us, the conditioned souls, a space to reform, evolve, and return back to Him, back to Godhead. So we have to see things with proper perspective. And Srila Prabhupada used various analogies to explain the various aspects. So today we are also discovering and going through some analogies. So in real life, how do we relate to this? So think of when you just moved first time into a new apartment, a rental house or apartment, and you have grand hopes. Why do you have grand hopes? Because you're thinking that all your, dreams will be fulfilled in this new place. So similarly, the soul enters this material creation thinking it will find fulfillment here. But like a rented apartment, this world is just temporary lodging. The real home is back home, back to Godhead, with Krishna. Sometimes have you been on a vacation and you realize that actually you need vacation after the vacation because that vacation was very stressful? And so that's the experience soul feels. But in reality, what happens is as we return back home, back to Godhead, we realize home, sweet home. We talk about those, people put it in their houses thinking that this home is sweet home. No, actually the home is back home, back to Godhead. And my Guru Maharaj, he would identify various things about creation. And he said at one time that the purpose of creation is to give the soul another chance to remember Krishna and to serve him. So we all are getting a second chance, and let's not waste that chance. And his big brother, His Holiness Japataka Maharaj, he actually referred to creation in much, in a different perspective, that the creation is not just for enjoyment. It's a training ground, like a university for the soul. So yes, we go to universities to acquire various degrees, various qualifications, so that we can get entry into the corporate world. That's the level of education the universities provide. But the best university is the University of Bhagavatam, Krishna consciousness, where we actually enter to the true university, the universal university, Krishna land, Golok Vrindavan. And so I'm just thinking of various quotes by various acharyas, various spiritual masters. And it reminds me that Radhanath Maharaj, he says that every creation is an opportunity. It's a sacred setup to grow closer to God if we choose to say it that way. So again, there is free will. He's putting it there. Yes, it's a setup for us to come close to Krishna, but we have to see it that way. We have to make that choice. Krishna gives us that minute freedom. And His Holiness Bhakti Swami, he would say that we are not physical beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience through creation. The Lord gives us this mirror. So again, we have to see this as a mercy of the Lord, that He is giving us this opportunity. Now, sometimes people talk about this and how do we relate to it in life. So many things happen in life. Once a disciple asks his spiritual master, Guru Maharaj, was the world really created in 7 days? Well, the spiritual master says, well, Krishna doesn't need days. He created it before time began. The disciple is like confused. He's like, then why am I always late for Mangalarti? So the spiritual master's response, because unlike Krishna, you think you still have time. Krishna doesn't need time to create anything, but we, sometimes don't realize this. So realizing the divine origin of creation helps us value time as sacred. So that's the lesson. not to be wasteful, but used in Krishna's service. So every moment that we have, we should try to see how we can serve Krishna. Now, sometimes we say everything in creation is temporary. And somebody could ask, even this class? Yes, of course, especially if the prasadam is ready. The impermanence of creation motivates urgency in spiritual life. So we don't have to delay our practices. We should take to chanting and serving and seeking truth, with great enthusiasm. Now, sometimes we devotees say things to each other which can have much greater depth. So one devotee is just sharing, hey, I realized that this world is temporary after I lost my Govardhan Shila in a move. So as he was moving from one place to another. So the response is, Krishna was testing if you are attached to him or the box he came in. So this creation is actually a test of where our true attachment is. It's very interesting that we talk about temples, that we go to the temple, we all have temple. And there is a lot going on in this temple. What's the meditation we are carrying out? We have to be careful. And sometimes it's very interesting to see that, people are saying, yeah, we hear about creation, but how do we apply it in our practical aspect? Well, every morning when we are waking up, there's a great example that we can start the day by acknowledging Krishna as the creator. We have to chant a prayer of gratitude each morning. And of course, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And that, finishing a minimum 16 rounds, is the priority. On special days, chanting more because they get multiplied. And next thing, yes, we clean ourselves, but clean our home or altar while remembering how Brahma organized the cosmos with devotion. So that's the Visarga, the secondary creation that we'll be diving into. And we have to meditate during japa. Oh Lord, let me reconnect to the purpose behind this creation. You are so compassionate. You created this material universe for me to have a path to go back home, back to Godhead. Now, some of us keep journal. So we can put a prompt that what does the reality of creation say about my purpose in this world? What is my purpose? That's Atatu Brahma Jigyasa. That's a common question. But where am I living in this world like it's permanent? Sometimes even though we understand Atatu Brahma Jigyasa, but we don't dive deeper into. So creation sets the stage. But once the world is formed, the universes are created, someone must carry forward the creative work, right? Even, from this creation perspective, Lord gives the opportunity to the living entities. So we enter the next subject, Visarga, the secondary creation, and how living entities, they begin to participate. So Visarga, subcreation. So again, R was reality. A is for articulation, manifesting the divine will. So here, the secondary creation is being carried out, and this is where, in general Indian awareness, back when we were kids, we would always hear about there is a creator, there is a maintainer, there is a destroyer, the good avatars, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. That's where actually we started back home, but in reality we forgot that there is Mahavishnu who is doing the initial creation. So this creation is being carried out by the good avatars. And articulation refers to this, how the divine will is expressed to the manifested universe and all living entities. So again, a house is a house with walls and doors and windows. It only becomes home when there is a loving family residing and having loving exchanges. So that's the purpose. So when all the living entities, they come through this manifested universe and they interact with each other. So Visarga explains how the seed of creation, the Sarga, unfolds further. So it's the second layer. The individual souls, the elements, the laws of nature, and the myriad expressions of life. So this is all Lord Krishna's plan. spoken into existence. And why is he making this plan? So that we have an opportunity to go back home, back to Godhead. Now, how do we connect it? Once again, sometimes people say, how can I relate to this? So we can think of, an artist is painting a canvas, right? So the original idea is in his mind, sarga. But the paint, the strokes, the colors, the details, that's visarga. He's bringing all that in his imagination into reality. Similarly, Krishna's will is expressed, it's again, in countless forms. So his will is expressing things in various forms. So my Guru Maharaj would say, our lives are the verses of Law's cosmic poem. Every action, a brushstroke of his desire. So in this way, we can see various aspects that how Visarga is so deep. Sometimes, we have some interesting conversations. When we talk about like everything we do is Krishna's expression, somebody could say, so if I burn the prasadam, it's his expression of hunger? No, not quite. It's maybe a sign to pay more attention. Krishna expresses through all events, but we must cultivate mindfulness to discern his guidance, right? So we have to see in subtle manner, in a manner as how it's bringing us closer to Krishna. Now, how can we apply this concept of Visarga in our daily life? So we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, right? With the understanding that each vibration articulates his divine will. Each word in the Maha Mantra is to invoke Lord's mercy. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we have to observe our thoughts and emotions as Krishna's communication. We have to practice mindfulness. Attentive chanting is a must. Otherwise, we are sitting in a car and we haven't turned the key on. And maybe we turned the key on and the car is running, but we haven't pushed the accelerator on, we haven't put it to the drive mode, and we are still in neutral. That chanting won't help. So we have to be mindful in our chanting. And we have to offer our daily duties as expressions of Krishna's gratitude towards Krishna's creative energy. Because of him, he says, Paurisham Nishu. So I'm the ability in man. So whatever ability we have is coming from Krishna. So what can we do as journaling activity? I always give you some journaling prompts to relate to each of the topics. So again, in what ways do I say Krishna's well-being spoken through my life? We have to ask that question. How can I better align with his plan, not have him aligned with my plan? This is where devotees are sometimes shining out in general world, because everyone is going to Krishna to ask for something in the temple. They are saying, my dear Lord, a young man is saying, get me a beautiful wife. Parents of a young girl is saying, give us a nice groom, a nice boy to be husband of our daughter. Someone is saying, get me promotion at work. Someone is saying, make me CEO. Someone is saying, give me a big house. But what are devotees asking? Well, while everyone is asking something from Krishna, devotees are asking Krishna himself. You be mine. When Krishna is theirs, then of course they can have whatever they feel like. But what they want in reality is to serve Krishna. That is the true reflection of love. So they want to be the order supplier for Krishna, to serve Krishna through service. While others are thinking that Krishna is our order supplier. We can order everything and Krishna would supply them. So from this articulation of creation, we move to the cosmos, domains and planetary system, where this manifestation operates, the sthana, right? The planetary systems. Yes, Devi?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. So this is for benefit of everyone. Prabhuji, I think a few joined a little later,
Yeah.
so that they don't have any disconnect. I thought we can quickly recap it into one short statement. You gave an acronym Radhe Sham, with the
Yes.
help of which you are explaining and describing the 10 subject matters of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yes.
So, right now, you have covered the first two, the creation.
R is for reality, which is creation, and
Secondary,
Visargas, the secondary expansion, is
the secondary
A is
creation.
articulation.
So, is sub creation, if you can just quickly
Yes.
throw the light on, if sub creation is same as the secondary creation?
Yes, that is secondary creation. And Sthana, the third subject matter, is the planetary systems, how they evolve.
Sthana.
Yes. So D is for domain, the cosmic order, right? So the structure of the planetary systems, the spatial domains of this universe, they are part of Sthanam, which we are referring to as the acronym goes as domain, the ordered, regulated place where all creation unfolds under divine supervision. So it's not just everything is just manifesting in chaos, but there is a divine supervision. So Krishna is also expanding and sitting in everyone's heart as super soul, as permitter and overseer. So in Sthanam, what do we understand? What's the purpose of Sthanam, of this domain? So the Bhagavata explains the cosmic arrangement, right? Different planetary systems and their purposes. Understanding of this helps us appreciate the lawful order behind what seems chaotic and our unique place in the cosmos. And how do we relate to real life? Well, sometimes people they think of government as impersonal, right? But then there are various officers, the police officer on the road, the various law agencies, the judiciary systems, and so forth. They are there as part of a whole system. Now, another example could be we can imagine a large complex office building, right? Each floor has its own function, the various policies, the rules, and the regulations, and personnel who work on each floor. So, similarly, cosmic domains have laws and purposes, and souls have their respective places and duties. And Srila Prabhupada would give a very nice example in this regard. He would say, you are at the ground floor and you want to go to the top floor. The ways you can go, you know, through stairs, but then you have to cross every floor, but you can get into an elevator and just press the button for the top floor. So with respect to sthanam, which is domain, my Guru Maharaj would say sthan reminds us that everything has its place, from atoms to galaxies, all within Krishna's control. Right? And it's very interesting that His Holiness Radha Swami, he puts another perspective to this. He says, life's confusion arises when we forget our true domain, the spiritual realm from which we descended. So we are part and parcel of Krishna. We have to understand this and not be caught in the phantasmagoria net of Maya, of material energy. So next, as we are going through, what can I do, on a daily basis? So one of the things is we can ask ourselves, where do I feel most at home spiritually, right? How can I expand my domain of consciousness to come closer to Krishna? So this cosmic order is held and nurtured by the Lord's protection. The next stage, Poshanam, protection and sustenance. So Poshanam, protection, is reflected through the acronym H, harbor, Krishna, shelter. So we have to harbor, right? So ship, when it reaches the harbor, that's where it kind of like really finds the shelter. Otherwise, in the middle of ocean, it's constantly being tormented by the waves. Yet at the same time, it's on its journey towards the harbor. So Poshanam means protection and maintenance of the universe by the Supreme Lord, Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So harbor, a safe refuge and loving shelter Krishna provides to all of us, the living entities, amidst the storms of material existence. And how do we relate to this topic in Bhagavatam? So Poshanam emphasizes that the Supreme Lord not only creates, right, but continuously protects and nourishes the universe. Just like a caring parent, he is safeguarding his children even when they wander away. So, like parents, they're always keeping their eyes where are the children. And Krishna is sitting in our heart as super soul. So he's taking care of us even when we are not taking care of ourselves, not being conscious of what we are doing. Now, in real life, think of a lighthouse guiding ships through rough seas, right? No matter how dark or stormy the ocean, the lighthouse's light saves the sailors from crashing onto the land, just like Krishna's protection guides our lives. And sometimes we have to seek, Krishna's protection and the guidance that we get in the right attitude, which reminds me of a real life incident. So this submarine commander, he's notified by his junior officer that there is another, there seems to be something in the way. So he says, I'm commander of so and so submarine, please get out of my way. So he gets a response, actually, why don't you get out of my way? And he's like, don't you realize I'm commander of such a submarine? I've got so many nuclear missiles loaded on there. So the response he gets is, that's well and good. I'm the lighthouse. The lighthouse is a stationary object. So this really happened to, one of the Navy commanders. Now, in this regard, my Guru Maharaj, he would say Krishna's protection is unconditional, a harbor where all fears dissolve. So we want to be fearless. We want to be fully happy. Anand Bhaya Besat, we are all seeking happiness. But we are looking at the wrong places. Just like a man who lost his car keys and he was looking under the lamp, and another man saw, what are you looking for? He's like, I'm looking for my car keys. It's like, oh, you dropped it here? He's like, no, actually I dropped it where the car is, but there is no light there. The light is under the lamp, so I'm looking under the lamp. Maybe I'll find it. We are looking at the wrong place. You have to look, even though it's dark, near your car. And His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, he has a beautiful quote. He says that no one can harm a devotee under Krishna's shelter, no matter the external circumstances. And Lord Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Kanteya pratijanehi name bhakta pranashati. So he is telling Arjun, declare it boldly that my devotee shall not perish. Now sometimes people look at this statement and then they look at the example of Parikshit Maharaj, who's going to die in 7 days. So yes, the body will die, but Parikshit Maharaj will go back home, back to Godhead. So we reach the destination. Doesn't matter. The vehicle we used, what happens to that after we have reached the destination? Because he gets a spiritual body. So sometimes we feel like, somebody could say, I thought Krishna would protect me from all problems. Well, the simple response is he does. But sometimes problems are the training grounds for protection, that we are seeking his protection. So Krishna's protection may appear as challenges that strengthen us. Remember, gold becomes pure when being burned in fire. So again, similarly, we have to look at every aspect from that practice, that how closely and how strongly we are holding on to Lord Krishna's lotus feet. And practical applications, well, we can visualize Krishna's protection presence around us during meditation. Are we wandering or are we seeking? We can develop faith by recalling past moments of divine protection. So many incidents in our life has happened. They have happened, and we have to reflect back on how Lord is protecting us. And we have to also serve others as a form of spreading Krishna's shelter. Lord Krishna tells Arjun what? Nimitra matram bhavya savisachin. You are just an instrument. So Krishna is actually acting through us. We have to be the instrument in the hands of Krishna, not in the hands of Maya. So something that we can ask is, where have I felt Krishna's protection most clearly? Many times he's protecting us, but we may not realize it. So we have to look at various life incidents. Sometimes the most depressed incidents will make us realize that they were the most revealing, insightful, and growing experiences. How can I deepen my trust in his shelter? So again, seeking shelter has an important aspect. So Krishna's shelter leads naturally to the creative energy or impulse that drives the cosmic cycles. That's the next topic, Utaya. Utya is the creative impetus. So we covered RADH. Now comes E. Energy, the divine spark. This is Utaya. So the creative impetus or the energy that drives the cosmic manifestation and activities in the cosmos. That is what it refers to. And the divine spark and dynamic force behind all creation and spiritual progress is referred to here by the word energy. Devi?
Hare Krishna. So just trying to make sure that everyone is on the track. So Prabhuji, you are sharing the acronym Radhe Shyam.
Yes.
To understand the 10 subject matters. You are touching on the fifth one now. So RADH E.
After harbor, we are coming to energy.
So E is the divine energy.
Utaya. Yeah, the creative impetus. So Utaya highlights the pulsating energy that powers the universe. It's a divine push behind every act of creation. And the spiritual enthusiasm we have to cultivate in our very path, in our very lives. So, but how do we cultivate it? Well, think of a spark that ignites a fire or a battery powering a device. Without this energy, nothing functions. Similarly, Krishna's creative impulse energizes all life and spiritual efforts. And we are also his marginal energy. And so we have to also act according to his will. My Guru Maharaj would say spiritual life needs divine energy, a spark from Krishna that ignites our hearts into flame. And in scriptures, beautiful example is given that we are the spirit soul, but we may fall in the material world at different places. So Brahmanas are the ones like a spiritual spark falls on dry grass and immediately catches fire. That's mode of goodness. When it falls on land, it may grow for some time, but then, if not protected, it dies out because it's in passion. And that's the Kshatriyas. And then the Vaishyas have part of passion as well. And then the water, if the spark falls on water, immediately extinguishes. So that's the mode of ignorance. So we have to be very careful, And His Holiness Rananath Maharaj, he has a beautiful quote. Our devotional energy grows when we tap into the divine spark within, which is the example Srila Prabhupada would give, that the lamp would light up when it's connected to the powerhouse. As soon as you pull the plug, the bulb is not lighting anymore. Why? Because it's not connected. So if we want to shine, we have to be connected to the supreme power, Lord Krishna. Supreme powerful. Actually, he is the energetic, Radharani is the energy. So we covered Radhe, and sometimes we look at the enthusiasm, that's the fuel of devotion. Somebody could say, so if I'm low in fuel, does Krishna does he have a gas station? I can, fill in the fuel? Well, yes, the temple and the japa beads. Those are the gas stations. So we have to take advantage of the spiritual energy that comes through regular devotional practices. So just like you regularly fill your tank after it runs out of fuel, we have to regularly recharge our souls. That comes through the regulative principles and especially chanting and devotional practices, the 9 process of devotional service. Now comes Sham, right? But this divine energy that orchestrates this cycle of time, right? It manifests in the Manvantaras, the changing period of Manus who govern the cosmic orders. Now, who's Manu? Manu is the forefather of mankind. We are referred to as Manushya or Manav, which just means descendants of Manu. So we are all descendants of Manu. And there is how do we remember? S, as from Sham, that acronym. So this is a shift, the cycles of time and authority. So there is a shift happening. And the cosmic periods, they are ruled by different Manus. In every day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus. And Brahma lives for 100 years, and that 100 years have 12 months. Those 12 months each month has 30 days, and each day have 1,000 Chaturyugas. And a Manu stays for, there are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma, so approximately 72 uh, Chaturyugas is the duration when they are administering the whole cosmic uh, administration. So the cosmic periods that are ruled by different Manus who oversee the creation, the maintenance of the universe, and of course, we also see the destruction aspects of it, which is at the end of each Chaturyuga. Again, the new yuga starts. So the cyclical changes in time and leadership guiding cosmic and spiritual evolution is what is visible during Manvantara. So what does Manvantara teach us? Like Manvantara teaches us about the cyclic nature of time and governance in the cosmos. It, what should it remind us? Well, it reminds us that change is the only constant, as Aristotle said, and that every cycle there is renewal and new opportunity. And how do we realize in our daily life? Well, we live every day in and out. So we say, yes, there is a morning, there is an afternoon, there is an evening, and comes night. That night is the pathway to a new morning. So that's the cyclical nature. We look at the seasons. We have spring, summer, fall, winter, and each brings its own energy and its own lessons, its own setup for us to, take advantage of or learn from. Similarly, Manvantras are cosmic seasons led by Manus who administer the universal laws. That's one way of looking at it. Now, His Holiness Bhakti Tej Swami, he says that recognize that spiritual authority changes hands, but Krishna's guidance is eternal. So yes, we see in disciplic succession, various spiritual masters have come. But what has come with them is Krishna's mercy. So Lord's mercy flows through his devotees. We should always be keeping, that tap on so that we continue to receive mercy. And that mercy is reflected to our actions. Through our actions, we realize if we have mercy or not. So a disciple may say, Guru Maharaj, I feel stuck in the same old problems. Guru Maharaj would say, just remember, every Manvantara ends, and so will your troubles. Right? And so disciple may say, but I'm in a spiritual winter. Does it mean like this is winter time that I'm having all these troubles? Well, the master will say, yes, exactly. Spring is coming with Krishna's grace. So we have to just be always hopeful, hoping against hope. That's one of the qualities, right? We have to see. And when we say time is cyclical, like the Manvantara, somebody could say, does that mean my bad habits come back too? Yes, they may. Only if you invite them for tea. Many times people are looking for property, property, property. And then one person said, well, I can tell you how to get a lot of property. I can just come to my home and I'll give you proper tea. Well, we devotees don't take tea or coffee. But we have choice of how cycles affect us, right? What we do, it affects us. So every moment of service is significant. Now, somebody, devotee sometimes said, this book, Bhagavatam, it explains cosmic time. You should read. And then somebody who's new will say, well, can it explain why my watch is always slow? A quick response is maybe you need Krishna's perspective, the timeless perspective. That timeless wisdom is right here. Spiritual time transcends material clocks and watches. Now, how do we apply it practically in daily lives? We have to cultivate patience with spiritual progress as cycle unfold. We have to use times of difficulty as opportunities for growth. There is no roadblock, it's only a stepping stone. We have to change our perspective, right? So we have to ask various questions. What cycles am I experiencing in my life now? How can I align with Krishna's timing rather than resist change? How can I grow in these situations? So, with cosmic cycle understood, we move into the science of God, the eternal knowledge that connects us all. Ishanu Katha, the science of God, which comes with the letter H. H is for horizon, expanding divine knowledge. So, this is where the discussion of science of the Supreme Lord, his pastimes, qualities, and glories, they are discussed in Bhagavatam. And the horizon is the expanding horizon of understanding God's nature and the divine reality. So we have to tap in there, seek how to understand how merciful Father he is. Right? Ishanu Katha presents the deep spiritual knowledge about Krishna, his divine nature, his pastimes, his transcendental qualities. So this expands our awareness beyond this material world into the ultimate truth beyond the cosmos. Again, now we may be thinking like we are coming down, but actually we are growing up. Sometimes, that is where when the plane is descending, sometimes people say, oh, we are going down, but no, you're actually reaching your destination, coming closer to your destination. So we have to look from that perspective. So how do we look at in real life? So just like when we are watching the sunrise beyond the horizon, right? Gaining divine knowledge brightens our spiritual vision and broadens our perspective on life. So it helps us realize the depth. Every time I've read the same verse again and again, it has brought different perspective in my life. And I hope that is bringing different perspectives to you as well. So His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj, he would say, true wisdom lies in knowing Krishna's intimately, which is the goal of all scriptures. So we have to understand that, yes, reading scriptures is important, but what is the goal of reading scriptures? Knowing Krishna intimately. How can we understand him? Because that way we can serve him better. Now, somebody could, here when we say the science of God is vast, because 18,000 verses, that's a lot. Bhagavad Gita seems easy because that's 700 verses. And somebody could say, is it available in a pocket edition, Bhagavatam? Yes, the heart is the pocket edition. It is in your heart, but you have to just open it. Divine knowledge is accessible anytime, anywhere, provided we are ready to open it. How do we apply in practical life? Well, real scriptures like an open hearts, seeking experience, not just information. We have to meditate on Lord Krishna's name, form, pastimes, and so forth. Now comes the next one. So this expanding knowledge guides us towards Nirodha, the final cessation of material miseries and entering into liberation. Material miseries, they end with material activities, right? So Nirodha is cessation of those material activities, which is A, in this case, of SH YA. Again, is arrival, place, peace through cessation. So here we are looking at the cessation or control of material miseries, various disturbances that we experience, and the end of suffering. So arrival is where once the plane has landed, we have arrived. The pilot says, the captain says. So the arrival at peace and tranquility by ceasing material attachments and anxieties that we were experiencing up in the sky when there were storms, growing around, swirling around the plane. So again, we have to realize our life is like that. And so we have to relate to the purpose of Nirodha that points to the ultimate peace attained when one stops being influenced by the material modes of passion, ignorance, goodness, and various material desires, right? They are arriving at a state of spiritual calm and freedom. Sometimes devotees say, oh yes, when I am in the temple, I'm very calm. Well, we are always in the temple. We have to seek out that calmness by taking shelter of Krishna. So again, we have to keep connecting back. Imagine arriving at a quiet, peaceful retreat after a long journey through noisy, chaotic traffic. That calm arrival is like Nirodha in our spiritual life. Sometimes people go on vacation. They take very troublesome journey, but finally when they reach the spot, that is Nirodha. They can look at it that way in real life. And Nirodha is the doorway to true freedom and the abode of Krishna's bliss. That's what my Guru Maharaj would say. And in the stillness of cessation, we hear Krishna's whisper the clearest. This is the quote from His Holiness Radhanath Swami. That we have to be quiet to hear the whispers of the Lord. Now, Nirodha means cessation of distractions. So somebody could say even social media, especially social media, unless you follow Krishna's updates. Right? So we have to focus our attention on spiritual nourishment. So again, we have so many practical application we can take to, like practicing mindfulness to reduce material distractions, because we are constantly distracted from distractions by distractions. So we have to chant. That's why the regular chanting is very important, because it soothes the restless mind. Meditating on Krishna is the source of lasting peace. It enables us. So we have to think about what distractions can I let go of today to arrive at the greater peace and focus on Krishna. So having attained peace through cessation, the next step is mukti, liberation, and freedom in the spiritual realm. So that's the ninth subject matter. Actually, it's the liberation. So at liberation, we are looking at liberation not just from the material modes, but we are looking at liberation from the cycle of birth, death, right? Jan Mittu Jara Vyadhi Dukha Doshanudashanam. So we are looking freedom from material bondage and go back home, back to Godhead. So M refers here to mukti, yes, but miracle, freedom from material bondage. Sure, people like the word miracle more than magic. Magic is like, it's like a tricking someone to see what is not. But in reality, it is not really true. But miracle is what Krishna is, how Krishna is acting out, the miraculous freedom that spiritual liberation brings to the soul. So this mukti represents the soul's ultimate freedom, release from this material conditioning and eternal union with the divine. That's why we say we go back home, back to Godhead. So it's the miraculous culmination of spiritual practice, right? This just imagine finally unlocking a door that's been chained for lifetimes, right? The soul's liberation is like stepping into eternal light and bliss. Sometimes we have to just open our heart to Krishna. And my Guru Maharaj would say, Mukti is the mercy of Krishna, the ultimate gift of the sincere devotee. So here we have to see that liberation is not an escape, but a joyous reunion with the divine. We are actually inside the jail. We come out of the jail just like a prisoner feels the freedom and the happiness and the expansion of his universe. Similarly, we experience that when we go back home, back to Godhead, away from the jail of this material universe. Sometimes we say mukti is freedom from material entanglement. Somebody could say, so can I get mukti from my daily chores? Well, only if you do them with Krishna's love. Then they won't be chores anymore. Then they would be devotional service. Liberation is a shift in consciousness, not just circumstances. So we have to ask ourselves, what attachments do I need to release to move closer to true liberation? And there, from liberation, we may move to the ultimate goal, ashraya, right? Finding shelter in Krishna, at his lotus feet, the eternal refuge. So here, A refers to abode, ashraya, the eternal refuge in Krishna. So the ultimate safe haven is in Krishna's divine lotus feet. Right? The eternal spiritual home, the shelter in Krishna's loving embrace is the abode, A for abode, that we seek. So Ashraya emphasizes, what does it emphasize? It emphasizes that the soul's highest goal is to find the ultimate refuge in Krishna. So we are carrying out, Sambandh Abhidheya Prayojana. Sambandh is understanding Jivera Surupaya Krishna Nityadas, that I am an eternal servant of Krishna, so he's the master, I'm the servant. Servant serves, so that's devotional service. Abhideya, the process. And then Uteya, the goal is to please the master, which is by being in constant service of the master. So that's where we go back home, back to Godhead. So in real life, we have to relate like coming home after a long journey, right? When we feel that safety and call home and we enter like home, sweet home. I know everything in this place is wonderful because this is where I belong. But the material homes are temporary spots for us. But the spiritual home is the true home, which is the shelter Krishna offers to every surrendered soul, right? So our heart's deepest desire is to find ashraya in Krishna's lotus feet. That's what we should be seeking out. And His Holiness Bhakti Tej Swami, he would say, ashraya is the divine refuge that guards our soul through all trials, right? So we have to seek from that perspective. When we say the ultimate refuge is Krishna's protection, somebody could say, does he have Wi-Fi there too? Better, unlimited spiritual connection. That connection never goes down. So Krishna's shelter is accessible anytime, anywhere, anyhow. And somebody may feel, I'm worried about the future. Well, take shelter in Krishna. He's got the best security plan. My security plan is not good. Her retirement plan is birth again, like we talked about last time. So spiritual shelter brings lasting happiness and security. So today, we are understanding and embracing Asha, the shelter of Krishna, and we complete this cosmic journey outlined in Srimadbhagavatam. This particular verse about the 10 subject matters, from creation, cycles, divine science to ultimate liberation and refuge. So let's recap again. What does R stand for? R is for reality. Divine love and compassion of the Lord is being revealed here. So, and we can also look at it from the perspective of how can we relate it? So again, in our life per se. I'm sorry, I'm 2 minutes over the time. This was a big subject matter today, 10 topics. Hopefully you were able to recap as we go along. So again, Radha, R refers to reality and focusing on the creation, the Sarga aspect, the original creation of the material universes. A refers to articulation, the sub-creation, where we can learn to express Krishna's plan through, appreciate Krishna's plan through duty, right? That we have to also engage in duty, just like Brahma and Shiva, they are performing their duties. And Sthana, the planetary system. So again, that's RAD. D is for domain, respect our structured place in this cosmos. And H is for harbor, where we seek Krishna's protection. So Krishna protects even in hidden ways. And fifth is E is for energy, which is Utaya, the creative impetus. So we have to direct our ambitions towards the absolute. As in Sham is for sequence. So the reigns of Manus is showing us sequence, learning from cycles of divine leadership. And the seasons are always changing, and we are getting another opportunity every day. H is for harmony, Ishanu Katha, the science of God. So we can build intimacy with the divine through stories from Bhagavatam that helps us connect with Krishna and his devotees. And Y is for Nirodha, dissolution, which is yielding. So we have to yield, we have to let go gracefully to go spiritually. That is yielding. And A is assertion, which is mukti, the ninth subject matter, is just liberation. We have to aim for true freedom, spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada would say. And last but not the least is Asha, the supreme shelter. So Sham, M is for mercy. Krishna is the ultimate refuge of the soul. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Hopefully we can connect with various aspects in our life to these amazing subject matters that are expressed, and also seek to understand how they are enabling us to grow in our spiritual journey to finally attain the goal, Lord Krishna's feet. So those are the 10 subject matters, and they are ever expanding in our lives. All we have to do is we have to pray in a quiet place attentively so we can hear Krishna's whispers, and then feel his presence and take shelter of his lotus feet, which is the supreme goal we are all seeking. Hare Krishna. I don't see Devi on the call. So
I'm here on the call.
Okay, Hare Krishna Devi, please go ahead.
All right. So I will quickly summarize to the best of my ability before we conclude the call. So this this talk of about an hour on a very extensive topic of 10 subject matters of Srimad Bhagavatam is a great resource for us. For it's like a lifelong spiritual compass when internalized and applied practically. So, Prabhuji, you talked about Sarga, primary creation. And for us, our practical way of applying it is with a grateful heart. We can continue cultivating spiritual insight as it aligns the heart with dharma. Second was Visarga, secondary creation. So, so we have to make conscious choices in knowledge of Visarga, and so that our actions mold our karmic path. Third one was Sthan, and Sthan means cosmic order, maintenance of the Lord, which is divinely organized. Everything has a place and role. And practically speaking, we should learn to accept and serve, our dharma, and so that we can be in harmony and follow selflessly whatever supreme occupation is. And then fourth one, Poshan. Poshan, you explained, is protection by the Lord. So the Lord sustains and protects sincere seekers. So we have to just trust in the in Lord's grace during our even reversals or trials and cultivate dependence on Krishna. Fifth one is Utaya. Utaya, you said, is like the creative impulses or the desires which shape destiny. And so we should purify. We should approach the Lord with pure intentions through sadhana, our spiritual practices, and assign desires with bhakti. Then you talked about a technical topic, Manvantara. Not many understand it for a very long time, but by Lord's mercy, this is a topic which is eventually understandable to some degree. So we learned time is cyclical and dharma evolves with each age. And so we adapt spirituality with time, and we chant and serve. For example, Nam Sankirtan in this Kali age times. And then Ishanu Katha, Hari Katha, Krishna Katha, we love this particular one. So glorifying the Lord and his devotees. So the real life is hearing and glorifying the Lord and his devotees. So we should always keep spiritual pastimes, such as in Srimad Bhagavatam, very close. They nourish the soul in all phases of life. The eighth one we were visiting was Nirodha, dissolution. So everything materially eventually ends. So eventually we should, with spiritual practices, learn to cultivate detachment and invest in eternal values. And then we were reading about mukti, liberation. So true freedom is returning to our spiritual nature, which means free from the free our tendencies from the anarthas and serve with love and devotion. And last one is Ashraya, the supreme shelter. Whose shelter we are talking about? The Supreme Lord. So ultimate refuge is Sri Krishna, who is the cause of all causes. So with the help of especially these Srimad Bhagavatam gems, which, this whole program is titled about. So once we anchor our life with the help of these pastimes, these teachings, through chanting, hearing, and in loving remembrance, we are able to be properly placed in the ashraya. And so whatever occupation we may be in, as a householder, as a student, we can apply these teachings, we can make an effort. And when made companions, they provide clarity, more strength, spiritual strength, and loving purpose throughout all stages of life. It's not just mere philosophy. but maps to live by. So I guess we can now wrap up. We are like 10, 11 minutes beyond the scheduled time. So please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, very grateful that you all could attend us on this presentation of the 10 subject matters of Srimadbhagavatam. And of course, it is ever expanding. So the more we read, the more we reveal. Krishna reveals himself to us, and the more we can feel his grace in our life and attain his mercy, which is the ultimate samam bonam. Ashaya. Kantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila
Jai,
Prabhupada ki jai, Srila
Jai,
Prabhupada ki jai, Anant
Ki
Koti
Jai,
Vaishnavinda ki jai,
Ki
Nitaya
Jai.
Premanande, Hari
Hari
Bol,
Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
The most fantastic
Thank
speakers,
you, Prabhu.
both
Thank
of
you.
you.
Wonderful
Thank
class,
you,
Prabhu.
devotees.
It's a
Hare Krishna.
wonderful couple, my God. Gopinath. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Kunti Mata, so nice to
much.
see you here, that
Oh
you
my
joined us.
goodness. This is the most amazing class. My husband and I are listening so attentively. There's so much to unpack here. I don't know. My mind is so heavy right now. Thank you. Thank you so much. Krishna bless you. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
That's it. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Have a wonderful week in Krishna consciousness. Om Tat Sat.